2 weeks before my wedding, my sister shocked everyone by running away with my fiancé, and I was left broken and humiliated in front of my entire family, who still can't believe that the two people I trusted most betrayed me so cruelly. I kissed my sister's boyfriend 3 months before she got engaged to him. Let me say that again because even typing it makes me sick. I kissed Jake while he was dating my baby sister Emma, and I convinced it meant nothing. God, I was such a fool. It started innocently enough. Emma brought Jake home for Christmas 2 years ago, and I'll admit it, he was gorgeous. Tall, dark hair, those green eyes that seemed to see right through. But he was Emma's, and I was happy for her. I really was. She'd always struggled with relationships, always picked the wrong guys, and Jake seemed different, stable, kind, the type of man who'd take care of her. I was 28 then, Emma was 24. I'd been single for 6 months after ending things with my college boyfriend, and I was lonely. Not just relationship lonely, but soul deep lonely. The kind where lie awake at night wondering if we're gonna end like our Aunt Carol, bitter and alone with her cats. Jake and I got along well, too well. We had the same sense of humor, liked the same books, could talk for hours about everything and nothing. Emma would sometimes get this little frown when she'd find us deep in conversation, but she never said anything. She trusted us both completely. The kiss happened at Emma's birthday party last March. She'd had too much and went to bed early. Jake and I were cleaning, laughing about something, and then we weren't laughing anymore. We were standing too close in the kitchen, and the air got heavy, and I could smell his cologne, and then his lips were on mine and I was kissing him back like my depended on it. It lasted maybe 10 seconds, 10 seconds that destroyed everything. We pulled apart and just stared at each other. I could see the horror in his eyes, the immediate regret. That can't happen again, he whispered, and I nodded, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might. Never, I agreed, but I was lying to him, to Emma sleeping upstairs. Because even as I said it, I was already replaying those 10 seconds, already wanting more. Jake proposed to Emma 2 months later. She called me crying happy tears, and I congratulated her while that kiss burned in my chest like acid. I told it was just pre-wedding stress when she asked me to be her maid of honor. I told I was being a good sister when I helped her pick out flowers and taste cake and choose between venues. I told a lot of lies that year. The planning brought Jake and me together more often. Family meetings, Emma called them, where the three of us would discuss seating charts and vendor contracts. Jake barely looked at me during these sessions, but I felt every moment his attention drifted my way. I caught him watching me once while Emma was in the bathroom, and the look in his eyes wasn't brotherly. I should have backed out then, should have made an excuse, moved across the country, anything. Instead, I leaned in. It started with texts. Innocent at first, did remember to call the florist. Became hope we're having a good day. Became can't stop thinking about what said yesterday. Nothing. Emma couldn't see if she'd grabbed my phone, but she never did. She trusted me. The emotional affair lasted 6 months. 6 months of stolen glances and meaningful silences and conversations that danced right to the line without crossing it. 6 months of falling in love with my sister's fiancé while helping her plan their wedding. I was drowning in guilt and desire, and I was too selfish to stop either one. 2 weeks before the wedding, Emma had a panic about the catering numbers. She was sobbing in her apartment, surrounded by wedding magazines and vendor contracts, completely overwhelmed. I should have stayed with her. Instead, I offered to handle the final venue walkthrough. Jake met me there at sunset. The venue was this gorgeous outdoor space with string lights and rose gardens, and it looked like something out of a fairy tale. In 2 weeks, Emma would walk down that aisle in her grandmother's dress, glowing with happiness. She's so stressed, Jake said as we pretended to check table arrangements. I feel terrible. She'll be fine, I said. She's just a perfectionist. The wedding will be beautiful, will it? He asked, and something in his voice made me look. He was staring at me with those green eyes, and I knew we were about to cross a line we'd never be able to uncross. Jake, I whispered, but I didn't step away. I didn't run. I stood there like and let him walk toward me. I can't marry her, he said, his voice breaking. Not when I'm in love with Pan, and there it was. The words that shattered everything. The words I'd been dying to hear and dreading in equal measure. Have to, I said, even as my heart screamed the opposite. She loves, she's planning whole together. I love her too, he said. But not the way I love. Not the way I've loved since that night in the kitchen. He reached for my hand, and I let him take it. I let him pull me close. I let him kiss me again, properly this time, with 2 years of pent longing behind it. I kissed him back like the selfish, horrible person I was, there in the space where my sister would marry him in 14 days. When we broke apart, we were both crying. We can't do this to her, I said, but even as I said it, I was already picturing a different future. One where Jake called off the wedding, where he chose me instead, where I didn't have to be the sister who never got picked. I know, he whispered, but I can't pretend anymore. I can't marry Emma when I'm in love with her sister. We left separately that night, but the damage was done. Not just the kiss that was just gasoline on a fire that had been burning for months. The real damage was the decision we made without saying it out loud. We were going to Emma's, and we were going to do it together. I drove home planning what I'd say to her. How I'd break her heart as gently as possible. How I'd explain that sometimes love just happens, even when it's inconvenient, even when it hurts people. I had it all worked out in my head, the words, the timing, the way I'd hold her while she cried. I never got the chance. Emma was waiting in my apartment when I got home. She had her key. I'd given it to her years ago for emergencies. And she was sitting on my couch with her laptop open, wearing the same expression she used to get as a kid when she'd caught me stealing her Halloween candy. We need to talk, she said. My turn to ice water. What are? I read texts. Her voice was eerily calm. All of them. I stood frozen in my doorway. What texts? Don't. She held her phone. Jake left his phone at my place yesterday. It kept buzzing, so I looked. 2 years of messages, Sarah. 2 years of my sister and my fiancé having an emotional affair behind my back. The room tilted. I gripped the doorframe to keep from falling. Emma, I can explain. Can. She stood, and I saw that she'd been crying. Her eyes were red and swollen, but her voice was steady as a surgeon's blade. Can't explain why my maid of honor has been telling my fiancé she can't stop thinking about him. Can't explain I things were different, and know how I feel about, and Emma doesn't have to know. Each quote hit me like a physical. It's not what think. It's exactly what I think. She scrolled through Jake's phone with shaking fingers. Here's my personal favorite. I dream about that kiss. I dream about choosing me instead. That was from last Tuesday, Sarah. Last Tuesday, while we're helping me address invitations, I wanted to. Right there, right then. I wanted the earth to open and swallow me whole. Emma, please. Where were tonight? She asked. Jake said he had to work late, but his office called looking for him an hour ago. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but stand there while my little sister's world collapsed around her. We're together. It wasn't a question. The night before I was supposed to confirm final numbers with the caterer, we're with my fiancé. Nothing happened. I whispered, and immediately hated for the lie. Emma laughed, but it was the most heartbreaking sound I'd ever heard. Nothing happened. Sarah, I've been emotionally cheating with him for months. Kissed him at my birthday party. I've been planning to steal him from me, and want to tell me nothing happened. He kissed me, I said desperately. I didn't start this, but didn't stop it. Her voice cracked for the first time. Didn't tell me, didn't back away, helped me plan my wedding while we're in love with my groom. The worst part was how calm she was. Emma had always been the dramatic one, the one who cried over movies and got upset when restaurants changed their menus. But now, facing the worst betrayal of her, she was unnaturally composed. It was more terrifying than if she'd been screaming. I never meant for it to happen, I said. I tried to it. For 2 years. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Tried to it for 2 years while making indispensable to our wedding planning. While becoming Jake's closest confidant. While letting me trust with every detail of the most important day of my. I had no answer for that. No excuse, no justification, nothing. Emma set Jake's phone on my coffee table like it was evidence at a crime scene. He's coming over, she said. I told him we need to talk. All three of us. Emma, don't understand. I understand perfectly. She picked her purse and I realized she was leaving. I understand that my sister and my fiancé are in love with each other. I understand that both been lying to me for months. I understand that my wedding is in 2 weeks and I have 150 people coming to watch me marry a man who's in love with someone else. What are gonna do? I asked. She looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something in her eyes. The last bit of love she had for me, probably. The last shred of the sister I'd grown with. I'm gonna let have him, she said quietly. My heart stopped. What? Want him so badly. Take him, plan it together, be happy, but don't expect me to stick around and watch. M.O. I'm leaving tonight, she continued like I hadn't spoken. I'm gonna drive to mom and dad's, and I'm gonna tell them that the wedding is off because my maid of honor and my fiancé are in love with each other. Then I'm gonna start over somewhere far away from both of Point. The full weight of what I'd done hit me like a freight train. Can't leave. This is home. My, she laughed again, bitter this time. What, the one where I can't trust my own sister? The one where the man I love is counting down the days until he can be with someone else? The one where everyone at work and church and the grocery store is gonna ask me what happened to my beautiful wedding? I was crying now, sobs that came from somewhere deep in my chest. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, she said. Sorry doesn't give me back the last 2 years of my. Sorry doesn't undo the fact that helped me pick out a wedding dress for a man we're planning to steal. Jake chose that moment to arrive. I heard his key in the lock, Emma's key, the one she'd given him when they got engaged, and then he was standing in my doorway looking between Emma and me with growing horror. He said. What's going on? Emma turned to face him, and her composure finally cracked. Tell me, she whispered. Tell me what's going on, Jake. Tell me why phone is full of love letters to my sister. I watched Jake's face go white, watched the moment he realized our secret was out, watched him understand that there was no going back from this. Part of me expected him to deny it, to try to save Emma's feelings, to choose her like he should have chosen her all along. Instead he looked at me, and I saw relief in his eyes. I'm sorry, he said to Emma, but he was still looking at me. I never wanted to, but I can't marry. I'm in love with Sarah. Emma made a sound like all the air had been out of her lungs. She gripped the back of my couch, swaying slightly. How long? She asked. Since that first Christmas, Jake said quietly. I've been fighting it for 2 years. Fighting it. Emma's voice pitched higher. Fighting it while proposed to me, while moved in with me, while we planned our wedding. I thought if I committed to, if I made it official, the feelings would go away, Jake said. I thought I could love enough to forget about her, but couldn't. It wasn't a question. No, he whispered. I couldn't. Emma looked between us, and I saw her taking in the full picture. Jake and me, standing closer than we should, the guilt written all over our faces. The way we kept glancing at each other even in this moment of ultimate betrayal. We're already together, aren't, she said. Not just emotionally. Tonight was the first time, I said quickly. We'll kiss tonight, that's all. I swear, Emma, we never kissed my fiancé 2 weeks before my wedding. Each word was precise, controlled. Kissed him and then came home to tell me about it. I realized how that sounded, how calculated and cruel it must seem from her perspective. Wasn't like that. What was it like? Emma asked. Explain it to me, Sarah. Explain how kissing my fiancé 2 weeks before my wedding isn't exactly what it looks like. I couldn't. There was no explanation that didn't make me sound like a monster. Emma pulled off her engagement ring, the one Jake had spent 3 months picking out, the one I'd helped her show off to everyone we knew, and set it next to his phone on my coffee table. I guess congratulations are in order, she said. Finally got what wanted. And then she walked out of my apartment and out of our lives. Emma kept her word. She drove to our parents' house that night and told them everything. By morning, the entire extended family knew that I'd stolen my sister's fiancé 2 weeks before her wedding. By the end of the week, everyone in our hometown knew. Emma had made sure of that. I found out later that she'd called every single wedding guest personally. 150 people got phone calls from a heartbroken bride explaining that the wedding was cancelled because her sister and fiancé had fallen in love behind her back. She didn't spare any details. She told them about the emotional affair, the secret texts, the kiss at her birthday party. She told them that her maid of honor had been planning to steal her groom for over a year. Our mother called me the next morning screaming. Actually screaming, which was something I'd never heard from her before. She used words I didn't know she knew, called me names that made me flinch away from the phone. Our father wouldn't speak to me at all. How could do this to sister? Mom sobbed. How could betray her like this? She trusted with everything. I had no answer. What could I say? That I was lonely, that I fell in love, that I thought Jake and I were meant to be. All of it sounded pathetic in the face of what I'd done. Emma moved to Seattle 3 days later. She'd been saving money for the honeymoon, and she used it to start over instead. She blocked Jake and me on everything: phones, social media, email. She told our parents not to give us her address. I thought Jake and I would be happy then. I thought we'd finally gotten our chance, that we could build something beautiful from the ashes of Emma's broken heart. I was wrong about that too. The first month was actually wonderful. Jake moved in with me immediately. He couldn't stay in the apartment he'd shared with Emma, and his lease was anyway. We were giddy with finally being together, on the relief of not having to hide anymore. We stayed in bed for entire weekends. We talked about getting married, maybe moving somewhere new where people didn't know our story. But reality crept in. Jake started having nightmares about Emma, waking in a cold sweat, calling her name. He'd go quiet for hours, staring at nothing, and I knew he was thinking about her, about what we'd done to her. Do you think she's okay? He asked one night about 6 weeks after the wedding that never happened. I don't know, I said. I hope so. I keep thinking about that last night, he said. The way Sheila were strangers. I rolled over to face him. Jake, we can't change what happened. We have to focus on us now. I know, he said. But sometimes I wonder if we made a mistake. My went cold. What kind of mistake? I loved her, he said quietly. I really did love Emma. She was good to me. She was good for me. But love me more, I said, hating how desperate I sounded. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd fallen asleep. Then, do I? That's when I started to understand what we'd really done. We hadn't just destroyed Emma's. We'd destroyed the foundation of our own relationship too. Every kiss was tainted by guilt. Every I love was shadowed by the memory of her face when she found out. We couldn't build happiness on that much betrayal and expect it to last. Jake started drinking more, coming home late, picking fights over nothing. He'd get this look sometimes, like he was seeing me clearly for the first time, and I knew what he was thinking. This is the woman who helped me destroy an innocent person. This is the woman who could lie to her own sister for 2 years. The wedding gifts started arriving anyway. Apparently some people hadn't gotten the cancellation message, and others had already shipped their presents. For weeks, packages kept showing addressed to Emma and Jakey, kitchen gadgets they'd registered for, towels with their initials, picture frames for wedding photos that would never exist. Each delivery felt like a fresh wound. Jake would stare at the packages like they were cursed objects, then throw them in a closet without opening them. I suggested we donate everything, but he said it felt wrong, like we were profiting from what we'd done. 3 months after the non-wedding, our cousin Lisa saw Emma at a coffee shop in Seattle. Emma looked good, Lisa reported back to the family. Healthy, she'd her hair short and was wearing clothes I'd never seen before. She was with a group of people, laughing at something someone had said. She seemed happy, Lisa told our mother, who relayed the information to me in a voice thick with judgment. Happier than I've seen her in years. That should have made me feel better. Should have eased some of the guilt. Instead, it made everything worse. Emma was thriving without us. She'd taken the worst thing that ever happened to her and used it as fuel to build a better. Meanwhile, Jake and I were drowning in the toxicity of what we'd done to get together. The final came 5 months later. Jake was scrolling through LinkedIn, something he'd been doing obsessively, like he was looking for Emma even though they weren't connected anymore, when he went completely still. What is it? I asked. He turned his laptop toward me. There was Emma's profile, updated with a new job title and location. She was working for a nonprofit in Seattle, doing environmental advocacy work. She'd always talked about wanting to do something meaningful with her, but she'd never pursued it while she was planning a wedding. But that wasn't what made Jake go pale. It was her profile picture. Emma was standing on a mountain somewhere, arms spread wide, grinning at the camera like she was embracing the whole world. She looked radiant. Free. Like a person who'd been carrying a heavy weight for years and had finally set it down. She never looked like that with me, Jake said quietly. And that's when I understood the real tragedy of what we'd done. We hadn't just stolen Emma's fiancé. We'd set her free from a that wasn't right for her either. Jake had been settling for Emma the same way he was now settling for me. None of us had been honest about what we really wanted. Jake left 2 weeks later. Not for another woman, for himself. He said he needed to figure out who he was when he wasn't betraying someone he cared about. He said he couldn't trust his own feelings anymore, couldn't tell the difference between love and guilt and desire and self-destruction. I'm not good for, he told me as he packed his bags, and are not good for me. We're just two people who destroyed something beautiful because we were selfish and weak. I begged him to stay, reminded him of everything we'd sacrificed to be together. All can't let this be for nothing, I pleaded. It was always for nothing, he said. We were never the love story, Sarah. We were the cautionary tale. He left on a Tuesday morning in October, exactly 8 months after Emma's wedding day. I watched him load his car from my bedroom window, the same window where I used to fantasize about our future together. He didn't look back. I've been alone for 6 months now. Emma never came home. Our parents speak to me in careful, measured tones when they call, like they're talking to a stranger they have to be polite to. My friends from college have gradually stopped inviting me to things. Word travels fast in our social circle, and nobody wants to be friends with the woman who stole her sister's fiancé. I applied for jobs in other cities, thinking a fresh start might help. But everywhere I went, I carried the knowledge of what I'd done. In job interviews, when they asked about references, I realized I couldn't use anyone from my old. My sister hated me. My ex-boyfriend had left in disgust. My parents barely tolerated me. I had no one who could speak to my character because I'd proven I didn't have any. Last month, our cousin got married. I wasn't invited, but I saw the pictures on social media. Emma was there, glowing and gorgeous in a blue dress I'd never seen. She was the maid of honor, the role she should have had when other people got married. Instead of being the abandoned bride at her own non-wedding, she looked happy. Really, genuinely happy. And I realized that in destroying her wedding, we'd probably saved her from a marriage that would have made her miserable. Jake had never loved her the way she deserved to be loved, and now she was free to find someone who would. But freedom comes at a price. My price was becoming the woman everyone warns their daughters not to be. The cautionary tale mothers tell when they want to explain why loyalty matters. The sister who chose one over love, who confused with destiny, who destroyed her family for a man who didn't even want her in the end. I still live in the same apartment where Emma confronted me that night. Sometimes I sit on the couch where she placed Jake's phone, where she took off her engagement ring, where she decided to let us have each other. I think about that moment when she could have fought for him, could have begged him to choose her, could have made our lives difficult in 100 different ways. Instead, she gave us exactly what we thought we wanted. And in doing so, she showed us who we really were. People ask me sometimes if I regret it, if I would do things differently if I could go back. The honest answer is that I regret everything except the lesson. I needed to learn that some prices are too high to pay, that some victories aren't worth winning, that can't build happiness on someone else's heartbreak. I needed to learn that the sister who gets everything isn't always the lucky one. Emma is getting married next month. I found out through our mother, who told me with obvious reluctance. She's marrying a man she met in Seattle, someone who loves her the way Jake never could, the way I never let him. They're having a small ceremony, just family and close friends, people who didn't betray her. I wasn't invited, but I sent a gift anyway. A small silver picture frame with an engraving, "To Emma, deserved better than us. I hope found it." Our mother called me crying after Emma received it. Not sad crying, angry crying. "How dare," she said. "How dare insert into her happiness after everything done." Maybe she was right. Maybe I had no right to reach out, to try to ease my own guilt by acknowledging Emma's new. Maybe it was just one more selfish act in a long line of selfish acts. But I needed her to know that I understood what we'd taken from her wasn't just a wedding or a fiancé. It was the ability to trust the people who were supposed to love her most. And I needed her to know that she'd won in the end, not because she got revenge, but because she got free. I don't know if Jake ever thinks about what we did. We haven't spoken since he left. But sometimes I wonder if he realizes, like I do, that we were never the victims in this story. We were never star-crossed lovers kept apart by cruel fate. We were just two selfish people who wanted what we wanted more than we cared about who got. Emma was the love story. Emma was the one who took betrayal and turned it into wisdom, who took abandonment and turned it into independence, who took the worst thing that ever happened to her and used it to build the she was always meant to have. I sit in my empty apartment most nights now, eating dinner alone, watching shows Emma and I used to watch together. I think about texting her sometimes, maybe trying to apologize properly, but I know that ship sailed long ago. Some bridges so completely that can't even see where they used to stand. The worst part isn't the loneliness or the guilt, or the way people look at me when they know my story. The worst part is knowing that I had everything I needed to be happy, and I destroyed it because I thought I deserved more. I had a sister who trusted me completely, parents who were proud of me, a full of people who loved me. I hid all away for a man who was never really mine to begin with, who left the moment he realized what kind of person he'd have to become to stay with me. Emma was right that night when she walked out of my apartment. We did get exactly what we wanted. And it turned out what we wanted was nothing worth having.